Your brain isn't obsessing over them because you love them. It's obsessing over them because you never finished the story. There's an effect that happens. It's called the Zeigarnik effect, in which our brains fall into this loop because it's trying to still finish the story. It's trying to get to the bottom line of it. And it repeats and it plays parts that are painful because, again, it's trying to mend everything. Your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what isn't real. So, what you have told it for that entire time, what you have created, a narrative, the story, your brain still thinks that it needs to get to that end point. It still thinks that it needs to live in that and become that. You're not still thinking about them because you're weak. You're thinking about them because your brain never got the ending of the story. And today, that's what we're talking about in this episode. We're diving into this fact that you can rewrite your story, that you can rewrite that ending, that you can rewrite the thing that you thought you had to be in. I know it's hard to let go of these things, but the only way that we change is by choosing. So diving into this episode, again, these are conversations that I've had with people and things that I know are universally needed. But one big thing that I feel like we've all struggled with whenever it's come to relationships or situationships even, is letting go of what we thought they were. We can't stop thinking about them because we've created them into a superhero in our mind. Like we put them on a pedestal so high that it's hard to remove them from that thing. You are not heartbroken because they left you. You're heartbroken because who you thought they were isn't who they are. You're heartbroken because you put everything in one place and thought that this was going to pay out. And that Zargnik effect, right? Where your brain is still trying to complete the loop of what you've told it. Your brain is so powerful that what you've told it, it's going to believe. It doesn't know the difference between what you wanted and what you're actually in. It doesn't know the difference between the lies or the truth. It doesn't know these things. It just knows what you've reassured, and its one job is to keep you alive, keep you safe. That's it. It doesn't care about your emotions. It's trying to finish the loop. It's trying to finish the story. So when we get in front of that, when we start actually telling ourselves and our brain with the truth of this person, the truth of the matter, we start delegating how it responds. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, right? Because even this is neuroplasticity. Everything, I feel like everything in this world is neuroplasticity. But even this is neuroplasticity, is a changing of how your brain is wired. And that is painful for every instance of the word. There is no chance that that isn't going to feel like it's difficult, because it is. You have to change something. And heartbreak, as much as it feels like an emotional pain, it's actually a rational decision. Like your brain is going to tell parts of your body that this isn't happening anymore. So it feels like the story is being ripped away. Now, it's still trying to finish, but it knows that it's not present. And that's because, again, what you're saying to you. If you're feeling aggravated about it, or you're feeling anxious about it, or if you're telling 1,000 different people about it, you're repeating the story. But how you tell the story matters. How you say this to you, how you repeat to you matters. Because for a lot of us, we start to take the blame on for the thing that didn't work. Now, if you do the work to heal and you do the work to grow, you'll be able to identify these things quicker. It doesn't mean that you're barred, though, however, from feeling pain, from feeling this attachment. Because the truth is that for a lot of us, we never healed from the attachment we made with the person because we were willing to go all in. We were willing to give everything. We put ourselves in a place where we would pour completely and fully. And what happens in that is that you allow yourself to be so vulnerable that it robs you of anything else, of thinking of all the other possibilities, of all the other outcomes. And I want to be clear, I think it's the most passionate thing you could ever do is be vulnerable. There's this quote that I heard, this post, it said, I love in a way that would scare a therapist but motivate a poet. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's one of the most beautiful things we could ever do is love fully and completely in a way that it seems absurd to some people and it doesn't make sense, but it would inspire others. And that only comes from when we're able to identify people, when we're able to see who they are and what they offer. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about this first portion of this episode before we talk about dealing with the heartbreak. Because the reason that a lot of people deal with heartbreak in situationships and failed relationships is because they haven't identified the person. Like they're looking at certain qualities that they find interesting or attractive, but they remain in that thing. So it stops them from doing anything more anywhere else. They're continuously looking for that same thing. And for a lot of us, we're still looking for the same person that we couldn't save in other people. Like there's that saying, right? Oh, not everyone's the same. Well, you're looking for the same person. That's why you feel like every man is the same. You feel like every woman is the same because you're still looking to save that one that you couldn't before. So you break your own heart because now this is all you're looking for. You might look at specific attributes and specific qualities of physical qualities that a person might have, and that's the thing that drives you to this. But it's even deeper than that. You're not just looking for the physical. The physical just reminds you of who they were emotionally, whether they were barred from you, or they were cold and they were away from you, or they love bombed you and made you feel all these things and then pulled away from you. What you're looking for is for someone to satisfy that. And the reason we keep breaking our own hearts is because no one is going to satisfy what we haven't healed. No one is going to do the things that other person did. No one's going to make you feel that way. You're looking specifically for them. Everyone else is going to do their own thing, their own ways of loving, their own ways of giving. And unfortunately, for a lot of us, we live in a culture that is complete vanity. That we don't love people for what they do or who they are. We love them for what they look like. Because a lot of people have fallen in love with the wedding and not the marriage. They fall in love with what is going to look like, to the point of even how their spouse physically looks like. And I'm not saying, again, I'm being very clear here, I'm not saying that you shouldn't care about these things, right? These are important things. Physical attraction is a huge thing, but it's not the only thing, and it shouldn't be the first thing on the list. Because if it is, then that's where you're falling into vanity. That's where this isn't going to be healthy. So being able to discern the person, know, is this person a person of qualities, a person that's actually caring for me, or is this an act? And we have to be clear with that. When it's an act, you can actually tell. First of all, maybe not off the bat, but you can actually tell by how they treat other people, not how they treat you. Because how they treat you is transactional. They'll do something for you to make you feel some type of way, but how do they respond to their friends? How do they respond to the waiter when you're ordering something? How do they respond to other people around them? What have they actually done that's good outside of you? Some people will do things to look good to you so that they can get you to do what they want to do. That's manipulation. And it's not that people shouldn't try harder with you, because of course they should. They're trying to build this relationship with you, but they should be the same person through and through. And if they aren't, then that's showing you who they are. And if you're falling for that and you're aware of this, then you've made that decision. So I just want that to be just a clarifying point, right? Because these are some really great things about healing and growing from the heart and dealing with heartbreak. But if we keep picking the same person, then it doesn't mean anything to do the healing, because you're going to be broken again. You're still looking for these people that shouldn't have access to you to have access to you. You've fallen in love with a certain thing, like that old saying, right? I was like, oh, I love bad boys, as women say. That's actually terrible. It's not that you love bad boys, it's that you love the thing that you couldn't fix. So you love the challenge. You love this thing that isn't good for you. And it's tied and often rooted in something that was a wound. So what happens is that you're looking for a person that matches this thing, because it's something that in you, naturally, your internal desire to heal, to help, is being brought out. And that's beautiful, and that's good. And that's a role that we play, but it's going to hurt you if you think that that's what you need to chase. You're still trying to heal a person that you couldn't save. So you're falling into that type because that's the issue. You're still trying to fix it. I say that, right? We're not going to spend this whole episode kind of just discerning a person, which I think is a great episode. Maybe we'll do that, or I'll do that on something else, not so much this podcast, because we don't know what's happening here. But I do think that it's important to be able to know who you're dealing with before you even think about going into that relationship. And authentically discern the person, not just, oh, they treat me nice, they buy me things, but who are they outside of you? Because, again, you are the goal. If that is the goal to get you, then they're going to make you seem like you're everything. But what happens after? What happens after you finally got me? Am I still that important to you? Or did that leave? And you will only know that by how they are to other people. That's the biggest point of discernment for this person. So diving into the rest of this episode, I think healing is something that is not linear. You're going to feel great today, and maybe tomorrow you'll feel horrible. And then next week, maybe you have a whole week of amazingness, and you have another month of just healing. It's never linear. It's a process. It's a decision and a choice consistently to change and to heal. Some of us struggle with healing because we are so preoccupied with what has been done to us that we lose sight of what we're doing now. You are still living in your wound in that moment that that thing happened to you. So you can't heal and grow here. So what happens is that you pull that along in every relationship that you're in and every situationship that you fall into. And sometimes what that does for us is doesn't allow us to be full with the people that deserve it, and we don't heal completely. Or we try to do that with the person that doesn't deserve it. And it just rectifies why I should have stayed alone, why that wound should have remained where it was. When we're healing from heartbreak, and specifically a person, and like I mentioned before, your brain is so powerful. What you feed it, it will believe. Every second you spend thinking about someone who's removed or moved on from you is a second you're paying for their peace with your own. Like every second that you are sitting here harping on what they've done or what they said or what they're doing, it's creating a more difficult barrier or boundary for your brain to pass. While you're replaying conversations, checking the social media and wondering what they're doing, they're not even thinking about you. Like, I need you to hear me on this. They don't even care what you're doing in this moment. You're sitting here conflicted and in pain and suffering and trying to heal from something that they've done to you, and they couldn't care any less. They don't care what you're doing with your life. They're not interested in these things. And what happens is that for these kind of people, that they will always pop up in the worst moments. Not because they care about you, but because they like the satisfaction of how you feel towards them. They like to know that they have a power over you. They like to know that there's something that they're saying about you or doing about you, and you are so preoccupied with it. Just in that moment. And then after they get that fix, they leave. The moment you truly understand that you are the only one suffering is the moment you decide to stop. Your mental real estate is valuable. What you spend time on in your mind is the most important thing. It's why you're up at 2 a.m. having these conversations with yourself. They're asleep. They're not thinking about you. And I say that not to hurt you, but to set you free. I think sometimes we need to bring into perspective the reality of how other people feel about us, so we stop feeling about them how we feel. Like we cut our own heart, our own time into pieces because we're so fixated on them. That's called the nostalgia trap. You are reminiscing on moments with a person that doesn't even care. And I think when we heal, when we're going into our wounded, or healing from our woundedness, and we're looking at this heartbreak, it's so important for us to realize that you are dealing with this alone. Like they might be feeling something too, right? I'm not barring or just completely discarding their situation themselves, but the reality is that they're not feeling what you're feeling. They're not healing the way you're healing. I think sometimes we get so caught up in trying to get people that don't care about us to care about us that we ruin our own mental health. We ruin our own heart. We make our healing fall further back because we are so preoccupied with them. And the worst part is that if they were to come back, most of us would just say, okay, I'm here. What do you need? But you didn't realize all the time that you spent healing from this person, all the time that you spent begging, all the time you spent trying to make this thing work, you end up breaking your own heart repeatedly just because you would be okay with a morsel of attention. We can't fall back into these traps just because we think that if we try a little harder, that finally they're going to realize how good you are. They know how good you are. They know what you bring to the table. They know the qualities that you have. They just don't care. And I don't mean that to be mean again. I don't mean that to make you feel like you're not worth it, because you absolutely are. But it's something in them that allows them to see that in you and still not realize how good you would be. And you don't deserve a person that can't acknowledge that. You don't deserve the person you had to beg. You don't deserve to just sell yourself short so somebody could finally settle on you. One of the worst things that we will ever experience is clearance rack love. Is this love that we give just to be liked, just for minimum, not even to receive love back, but just simply to be taken off the rack because we are so concerned about them finally picking us that we don't pick ourselves. We don't value ourselves. We don't put any worth in ourselves. So it's easy to be walked over. It's easy to be made felt like you're worthless. It's easy to be made felt like you're not worth the love that you deserve because you have allowed that to be you. You've created this in you that you just want to be picked and you don't care what that looks like. We will never heal in a place where we don't see value. We will never give attention to a wound that we don't see healing. So we've created this loop again of just us allowing ourselves to be hurt in hope that somebody might pick you. But you're worthy of complete love, not partial love, not sometimes, not clearance track love. Your love is worth the complete package, the whole value. Stop letting people treat you like you're on the clearance track just so that you could be around them. One big thing that we end up going back to is this thought of missing people. You're not missing them. You're missing the version of them that you needed them to be. Like, think about it. Like, when people date people, right? When we're in relationships, or we're in situationships, we're talking to somebody, we're still thinking about the future, right? We're thinking about where we're going to be next. What's our life going to look like? What is our relationship going to look like? Where are we going to flow from here? What's going to happen next? We're thinking about all of these things because that's natural. That should be a human thing to consider that this person is going to be in your life. So you're creating a story of who they're going to be. Most people don't miss the person, they miss the potential. The who they could have been in the relationship. And the relationship you build in your head almost existed. Like, this was a thought process. You thought that they were going to be this person. You thought that they were going to be there. But now what happens is that we're grieving in fantasy. And that's real grief. You have to sit here and unpack the reality that this person is no longer there. But you have to be honest, right? The person you miss doesn't even exist anymore, or didn't even exist at that, because we've created this thought of them that we put them on this pedestal so high that they could do no wrong. So we begin to justify, and I think I've mentioned this before in a different episode, something similar to this line, but I do think that it's important to understand that sometimes we begin to justify their bad behavior because we think that they're not that person. Like, we try to justify the way they treat us or the things they say to us or how they are because we think that they're not that person, but they are that person. They're treating you that way. They're saying this to you. They're making you feel like you're not worth it. They're not responding to you. They're not spending time with you. They're thinking of you as an afterthought. They are that person. And we can't sit here and try to vindicate their actions and to make us feel better about our decisions, to make us feel better about ourselves ultimately. Because when we do this, we're doing it because we don't want to feel bad about the person we've picked. They are that person. And the sooner you come to terms with that reality, the sooner you allow yourself to detach from them, the sooner you allow yourself to heal from them. They are that person. And it's okay that you want to see better because that's who you are. You're not them, but it's not who they are. You'll never force them to be something that they don't want to be. Here's something nobody tells you. You're probably not missing them. You're missing who you thought they were. And that person just isn't real. And I'm not saying, again, I need to just justify those things. I'm not saying that they're not good people, because they could be the greatest people. They could be very nice people, but just not to you. They could do all these things and people could see all this amazingness in them, but they're just not good to you. They're not the person that you thought they were. You don't need to justify their behavior. You don't need to justify their past. We do this so often. We say, oh, well, they're this way because of their past. You're not in their past. You're in their future. Why are you going through this pain because something happened to them? You don't deserve that. And again, I'm not saying don't care and don't put yourself in a position to help and heal. But also, you're not a lightning post to receive all the pain and all the suffering on you because of what's happened to them to justify how they act towards you. That is one of the worst things that you will ever do. You will make yourself miserable trying to get them to finally see that you're worth it and that their past is something else. And we will never heal if we continue to fall back into the rut or into the routine or into the thought process that we've had before of trying to fix them, of trying to correct their actions. And this is one of my biggest, I don't call it pet peeves, but I think points of conflict. That's a really good word. When people say things like, yeah, but they have so much potential. Listen to me, you cannot marry potential. Potential is good and it's beautiful, but a person who has potential is not your potential. It's not your life. You're not doing what they're doing for them. You're not going to create anything them. They have to choose. Potential is a great thing. It's awesome that you can see the potential. Potential will break your heart because if they are not changing, you will not change them. If they are not growing, you will not grow them. You cannot do what they potentially can do because you're not them. And so many people ruin years of their lives chasing potential. Potential is good, it's important, but it's not your potential. So we live in this era of no contact, and I think that's huge and it's important, but it's very difficult to manage sometimes. Sometimes we ruminate so long over who they were and what they did that we just end up messaging them or reaching out to them. And in certain situations, like a situation that I've seen often is you have kids with the person, and it's impossible to do a no contact situation when you're there because you have children, you are a child or anything of that nature. You have to have a speaking communication relationship with that person. Now, this is really difficult, and this is a question that I've gotten a lot of times. So I don't want to gloss over it because it's super important, obviously, because that's so many things I've asked. But I do think that it becomes a little bit more complicated because both people have to be rational. We'll say that. And let's just give my people who are in that situation just a quick touch there before we dive into everything else with people who aren't in this situation. I think that the most important thing that you will ever do when you're dealing with a person, especially for trying to have this no contact, is keep in mind and remind yourself of what they did. And if you're the other person, I mean, likely if you're listening to this, you're healing from something. But if you're the other person, you have to give them space to feel what's happened. Now, this is hard, right? Because it's hard to think about what was done to you and not respond in anger. And a lot of people who haven't done the work to heal will typically respond in anger. I'll be completely honest here. Like I said in every episode, I am clear about these things. This is a situation that I know personally, right? And my personal situation is one of these things. And there's certain scenarios and certain things that have been done to me that I have every right and every reason to respond in a place of anger. And I've chosen not to. Because, again, I've done the work to heal, but you will never gain anything in responding in anger, especially when you have a child involved. And the worst thing that you ever do is create a war in a place that you need peace to raise a child. So it's hard. And when we talk about no contact, reminding yourself of what's happened and what you've gone through, it's not an overnight thing. You're not going to heal from this right away and be like, oh, that's it, I'm good. We could just, be partners, be friends and stuff. But when you respond from that place of healedness, or the healing at least, it makes it easier for you to not want to go back into something. You remember what's happened and I don't need to respond in anger, but I am aware that this is what you thought of me, or this is what you did, or this is what you wanted. So that's a lot. It's a lot more nuanced in there. It's more into that point. But when we talk about no contact in general for everyone, I think that the most important thing, that is actually a great tool to remember what's happened and what you felt and what you were put through. But then to also realize that you are not going to gain any new insight by reaching out to them. Like that line of closure. Closure is a lie. You don't need to reach back out and figure out why they felt that way. Because often when we want with closure, it's not that we want to feel or close that loop. It's that we want for them to change their mind. We want for them to apologize. We want for them to even feel sorry and feel bad. We want to see that because in us, in our mind, or subconscious at least, it makes us feel justified. It makes us feel, okay, well, I'm not the bad one, or I'm not this one. And in some parts of us, it's like, oh, well, you want to forgive them and take them back, but you need them to feel this. You do not need closure. You don't need a person who knew what they did to finally own up to it, especially if they don't have the emotional maturity to do so. Like if they're dealing with an emotional mature person, they will own up to what they did, and it might not justify it, it might not change it, it might not fix it, but at the very least, they're aware of it. We don't need closure. We need to create this barrier that we don't need to speak, especially if you don't have kids. I think this is one of the, it's really hard to do. I'm not saying it's not, but I think it's significantly easier when you don't have something that's tying you together, especially something as important as human life. People think that no contact is a strategy to make someone miss you and come back. That's not it. It's no contact it's about creating enough space between you and the trigger so that your nervous system can finally regulate itself. Every time you check the page or text them or accidentally drive past their house, which is weird, you restart the grief cycle from zero. Distance is medicine. Like, think about that. Like, every time you go back to their page, or you scroll through it, or you look at their pictures, you're just restarting your healing process. Yeah, maybe you're restarting it with a little bit more desire, but at the very least, you're restarting it. No contact is not about making them miss you. It's about protecting part of you that's still trying to heal. Every time you check their page, you create that cycle again. You start from the very beginning. So knowing that we need to create this divide, this cutaway from them, allows us the space to heal. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to miss the conversations or the person or the things. Obviously, you are. But the hardest part of discipline, of choosing that discipline, is that moment where you want to respond, you choose not to. Or you want to reach out, you choose not to. And what that does is that it fortifies it for the next time. It doesn't become instantly easier, but it becomes progressively easier. It's little things over and over again that makes it that much easier to let that thing go, and gives yourself the space to heal. The reason you can't forget them is because somewhere along the way, you forgot about yourself. Like, for a lot of us, we've tied in our self-worth and our self-being to those relationships. We've created this dichotomy between who they saw us as and who they treated us as to who we actually are. We think that the relationship itself was justifying me. And it's not. You are you outside of that, no matter what. You are the person that you are, with or without them. You were you before that. Life was life before that person. Life will be life after that person. The hard part is getting through the stage of healing and growth and dealing with this grief and knowing that that person isn't going to be in the story anymore. I'm not saying it's not painful and it's not difficult, because they are a part of your story. They are a chapter in this book that is your life. But they aren't everything. They can't be. So dealing with that, digressing through that, and understanding that, yes, I'm still me. And I'm going to grow out of that. It's going to be the biggest focal point that we could possibly have. Moving on doesn't mean that what happened didn't matter. It means that you matter more. And I think this is a huge take here. Because it doesn't say that this relationship wasn't real. The situationship even wasn't real. It doesn't say that the thing wasn't important, because it was. Clearly was important. But it doesn't mean that that thing takes hold of everything you are, of your identity. A lot of us, again, have tied our identity to those relationships. So when they're gone, when they're broken, we feel like, what am I? Like, I'm no one. And that's just not true. You were a person, you are the person you are before, you were before, and you will be after. It doesn't take away from your value, from your worth. Yeah, it might have been a big part of your life. It might have been where you've invested years in. But I think it hurts more to invest years in something, to lose it, and then to spend more years trying to get it back. You are missing out on everything else. Trying to hold on to the pain of the past. Like, we are missing out on everything that could have been good for us, on every person that could have loved us fully and completely, and everything that could have made us feel like, you know what, this is worth it. Holding on to the thing that was just terrible for you. Holding on to the person that clearly just didn't value or doesn't even value or doesn't show you that they even care. And you're sitting here begging them to be right while ignoring the person that will be right. You're ignoring the possibility of life being better because you're begging the wrong person to act like the right one. And you're going to see this just slip through your hands because you're trying to convince a person that shown you time and time again that they don't deserve what you're offering or who you are to be good. We will miss out on so many beautiful, powerful things that are meant to happen for us because we're caught up in something that we should have healed from. We're still in that loop. We're still choosing to put them on the pedestal and to remind ourselves of who they could have been. They're not. And as you heal and as you grow and as you change, we make the decision to no longer stay there. This doesn't serve you, and that's okay. It's okay that the pain was there, and it's okay that you've gone through it, because now what's going to happen is that you're going to grow from this thing. You'll discern better. You'll choose better, but you won't stay there. So again, thank you so much for being on this episode. Thank you for your presence. More announcements on everything that's happening coming later on, or maybe next episode, the episode after. Well, obviously, so we have 2 more episodes left after this one. So I'll be sharing what's happening there. But thank you, just thank you for listening and being here. And we'll catch you on the next one.